I'm going to post again on books and their relationship with libraries, and I'm going to respond further to an argument that Ken Whyte has been making for some time that libraries are detrimental to book sales and authors' incomes. Now, the real issue, it seems to me, here is, first of all, that libraries are part of a literary ecosystem, and the fact that people borrow for free from the libraries does not necessarily mean that they're a negative factor within that a negative element within that ecosystem. And the second point that I'd like to make, which I think is really not sort of focused on enough, and is particularly ironic to me, living over here in South Korea, because living outside Canada, not being a resident of Canada, is a material disadvantage in terms of dealing with Canadian publishers and agents, something that I don't think is fair. So sometimes I do wonder to myself why I even sort of bother with this stuff. But in any case, I do have strong feelings about the success of Canadian culture, Canadian publishing culture, lettres québécois, tout cela. And I have strong feelings about the success of the Canadian movie industry, the Canadian TV industry, and so forth. What Ken does, and one sort of aspect that I sort of zeroed in on, is he focuses almost exclusively on American statistics and the American experience of COVID shutdowns and any impact that that may or may not have had on book sales. His argument is that COVID led to library shutdowns led to increased sales of books. Those statistics do not replicate in a Canadian context. They just do not. BookNet Canada has stated that in 2019, pre-pandemic, book sales were at a certain level. They fell from that level in 2020 when we were experiencing the most severe lockdowns, i.e. also library closures, and they picked up somewhat in 2021. Stephen Beattie has pointed out that in late 2021, sales of Canadian books were actually reasonably healthy, and there was some optimism within Canadian publishing circles. And in order to sort of, the context in which Stephen is talking about the situation is what is called the supply chain crisis, the difficulty that publishers had in terms of getting enough books, enough new titles into bookstores for Christmas book buyers. It's a very important time of year for them. Stephen is not focusing on the whole library versus borrowing at a library versus buying a book in a bookstore debate that Ken is focusing on. But the two analyses are linked quite strongly in the sense that what Stephen is doing, although it's not his explicit intention, is he's disproving Ken's argument, because what Stephen is doing is illustrating that book sales can be quite healthy despite the fact that in late 2021, Canadian libraries were open. So that is sort of one of the essential flaws in Ken's argument. Another flaw in Ken's argumentation is he has complained that librarians are too thin-skinned and sort of reacting overly emotionally to previous articles that he's written, and that may be true. They may be behaving in a thin-skinned manner, but Ken himself is behaving in a thin-skinned manner. He called me at one point buddy, and I responded with dude, and that obviously raised his ire. He also doesn't like my hat. But in any case, emotions are clearly running high. What I'm asking for is more logical analysis, one in which Ken's argument, which he claims is proof, but is not proof, is just correlation within the American context, can be replicated in the Canadian context. According to the facts and figures that Stephen is giving, the situation does not replicate within a Canadian context, and Ken is going to have to deal with that in an objective way if he's going to be taken seriously as an analyst of what is happening within Canadian book culture.